Look down at your hand. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now look at your foot. 5 again. You have never once questioned this. It feels as ordinary as the number of eyes on your face, as fixed and obvious as the fact that water is wet. But there is nothing obvious about it. There is no law of the universe that says a hand must end in 5 fingers, and yet, almost every creature you have ever touched, ridden, feared, or eaten carries the same secret number buried inside its limbs. Why 5? Not 4. Not 6. Not 8. 5. The answer is not about you. It is not even about humans. To find it, you have to leave your body behind and travel back through an almost unimaginable stretch of time to a swamp that dried up before the dinosaurs were even a rumor. The number on your hand was decided roughly 340 million years ago. It was decided by an animal you have never heard of, in a world you would not recognize, and it has barely changed since. Here is the first thing that should unsettle you. For most of the history of limbs, 5 was not the rule. It was not even common. When the very first creatures dragged themselves out of the water, they did not have 5 fingers at all. They had more, many more. Picture the late Devonian, around 375 million years ago, a period so full of fish, it is literally nicknamed the Age of Fishes. The land was newly green, plants were spreading, insects were creeping across the mud, and in the shallow, weed-choked water at the edges, something strange was happening to a group of fish. Their fins were becoming limbs. These were the first tetrapods. Tetrapod simply means 4-footed, and it is the great family that would eventually include every amphibian, every reptile, every bird, and every mammal, including you. But these early pioneers looked nothing like the tidy 5-fingered plan you carry today. Consider an animal called Acanthostega. Its fossils were studied in detail by the paleontologist Michael Coates, and what he and his colleagues found rewrote the textbook. Acanthostega did not have 5 fingers. It had 8. 8 fingers on each hand, splayed out like the teeth of a comb. It was not alone. Another early tetrapod, Ichthyostega, carried 7 toes on its hind foot. A third, called Tularpeton, had 6. 6, 7, 8. The earliest limbs on Earth were a chaotic experiment, and the number 5 was nowhere in sight. So, sit with that for a moment. The hand you are looking at right now is not the original design. It is a survivor of a purge. The great biologist Stephen Jay Gould wrote about exactly this, and he did not soften it. He pointed out that 5 is not some sacred, built-in number that limbs were always meant to reach. The oldest limbs we have found are not 5-fingered. They are polydactylous, a word that just means many-fingered. 5 came later. 5 is not the beginning of the story. 5 is the ending that stuck. So what happened to all the 8-fingered swimmers? They vanished. At the close of the Devonian, around 360 million years ago, the world convulsed through one of its great extinction events. The many-toed, water-bound experimenters mostly disappeared, and when the survivors crawled forward into the next chapter, a new pattern had settled into their bodies and refused to let go. Somewhere in that narrow window, in an ancestor common to nearly all land vertebrates alive today, the count locked onto 5. So, let's reconstruct that vanished world for a moment. Close your eyes and stand in it. The air is warm and thick. Around your ankles, water the color of weak tea moves slowly through a forest of strange, fern-like growths. There are no flowers anywhere, because flowers have not been invented yet. There are no birds in the sky, no grass underfoot, no sound of any voice, just the drip of water, the hum of early insects, and the slow ripple of something large moving beneath the surface. That something is your ancestor. It is not human. It is not even fully an animal of the land. It is a broad-headed, flat-bodied creature, more salamander than anything you have a name for, resting in the shallows with its eyes just above the waterline. And at the end of each stubby limb, splayed against the mud, is a hand. Not your hand. a hand with too many fingers. This is the workshop where your body was drafted. The scientist Michel Laurin spent years re-examining exactly when and why this workshop settled on 5, and his conclusion was humbling. There is no grand reason hiding in the fossils. The 5-fingered condition took hold in a specific window of time, in a specific group of survivors, and then it simply stopped moving. The experiment ended not because 5 was perfect, but because the door closed behind it. Why 5 and not 6? Why did this particular number freeze? The honest answer is that part of it may simply be chance. The initial move from fin to limb was a period of wild experimentation, and the 5-fingered version happened to be riding inside an animal that survived, bred, and passed the pattern down. Its descendants inherited the blueprint, and once a blueprint is shared by every creature in a lineage, changing it becomes almost impossible. This is the part that turns a historical accident into a life sentence. Your fingers are not drawn onto your hand at the end of development, like the last detail of a painting. They are among the deepest instructions in how an embryo builds itself. The genes that lay out your digits are the same family of genes that help shape your spine, your organs, the wiring between your limbs and your body. Biologists have a word for this tangle: pleiotropy, which means a single gene quietly controlling several different things at once. And that is the trap. When one gene does many jobs, you cannot casually add a 6th finger. Reach in to change the digit count, and you risk breaking something else entirely, something you need to survive. There is even a rare human condition called hand-foot genital syndrome, where a single genetic fault malforms the fingers and the urinary system together, precisely because the same instruction shapes both. The finger and the organ are wired to the same switch, so the number 5 is protected, not by usefulness, by entanglement. Let that reframe what you are looking at. Your 5 fingers are not 5 because 5 is best. A 6-fingered hand might have been marvelous. Some humans are in fact born with a perfectly functional extra finger. But evolution almost never keeps them, because the cost of rewriting such a deep instruction is far higher than the modest benefit of one more digit. 5 is not the winner of a competition. 5 is a frozen accident that became too expensive to undo. Now watch how far that frozen accident has traveled. Look at a bat. Its wing is a hand, 5 impossibly long fingers stretched inside a membrane of skin. Look at a whale, gliding through the deep ocean. Inside its flipper, hidden under blubber and muscle, is a skeleton of 5 fingers. A horse gallops across a field on what looks like a single hoof, but that hoof is a lone surviving digit. Its siblings shrunk and fused away over millions of years. A bird's wing, a mole's shovel, a human pianist's hand, a frog's webbed foot. Different jobs, different worlds, the same buried 5. Think about how astonishing that stability really is. Life on this planet has invented compound eyes and echolocation, venom and photosynthesis, feathers and flight. It has torn up its own blueprints again and again in a restless search for something better. Bodies have ballooned to the size of a blue whale and shrunk to the size of a bee, and through all of that riot of change, across 340 million years and millions upon millions of species, the count of fingers on the ancestral hand has held almost perfectly still. Whole oceans have risen and dried. Continents have drifted apart. 5 did not move. This is one of the quiet miracles of biology, and the naturalist Charles Darwin himself pointed to it as some of his strongest evidence. Why should the wing of a bat, the flipper of a whale, and the hand of a human all be built from the same bones, in the same order, if they were each designed fresh for their purpose? They should not. Unless they all inherited that plan from a single shared ancestor. The 5 in your hand and the 5 in a whale's flipper are the same 5. You are looking at a family signature written 340 million years ago and copied into every descendant since. Some creatures have lost digits along the way. Snakes let their limbs disappear entirely. Horses fused theirs down to one. Birds reduced and merged the fingers hidden in their wings. But here is the telling detail. In hundreds of millions of years, life has repeatedly subtracted from 5. It has almost never permanently added past it. Losing a finger is easy. Gaining one is nearly forbidden. That imbalance is the fingerprint of a deep constraint, a rule the body will bend down but almost never up. So the next time you pick up a cup, tie a knot, or hold someone's hand, understand what you are actually doing. You are operating a piece of machinery designed in a Devonian swamp, in a body that swam more than it walked, in a world with no grass, no flowers, no birdsong. That ancient count survived a mass extinction, outlasted the dinosaurs, and rode inside an unbroken chain of living things straight down into your own arm. You did not choose 5, you inherited it. Look down at your hand again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was never obvious. It was never inevitable. It is a 340-million-year-old accident that you carry, without thinking, every single day of your life.